Hey there, it's good to see you earlier in the week than Friday. So Lumix just dropped a camera and shit all over Canon and Sony. And when I say that, I take it seriously just because I'm a longtime Sony user. I've had my A7R III for a long time and I used it primarily for video. So for Lumix to drop this primarily photo camera for video, I believe it's primarily photo, is insane. We got to talk about it. I'm going to tell you what makes this camera just absolutely bonkers, why it's just a slap in the face to other camera companies, and what it means for you, and just the overall direction that the camera market's going in. The first thing I want to say is 8K? 8K? Holy shit. 8K is insane, and that's a prosumer camera. We're so used to the high-end prosumer cameras like the Blackmagics, the already existing Lumix cameras being 6K, getting a 6K readout. 8K is crazy. Okay, and also want to mention 44.3 megapixel readout is just incredible. So to have these video features packed in here with photo capabilities of up to 44.3 megapixels is just bonkers. Like, well done, Lumix, well done. And I also want to mention that this camera has phase detection autofocus. Now, phase detection autofocus is new to Lumix with the S5 II and the S5 IIX. That was the first model camera, I believe, that they had with the phase detection autofocus. Everything before that was contrast-based. And that's what made Canon, Sony so much better with their autofocus at the time, was that they had phase detection autofocus. Well, now Lumix has it, and this is generation 2. This is the second iteration of cameras that they're releasing with phase detection autofocus. So I expect it to be good. And according to all of the tests that I've seen on YouTube from the YouTubers that got the prototypes of the camera, it's pretty badass. And this next one, I think, is the biggest one, especially for us videographers. Like, even in my notes here, I wrote a little holy shit asterisk next to this, because 4K 120 FPS, 4K 120 FPS is just bonkers for a prosumer camera. I think that's just incredible to have that. It's just, that's wild to me. And then, as long as you're recording internally, 5.8K ProRes RAW. ProRes RAW. Like, that's so cool. Internal recording at 5.8K, almost 6K RAW. That's just wild. It's really, really cool, and it's really neat to see a prosumer camera company pushing this. Now, the next thing that we've all come to expect from Lumix is just extraordinary IBIS, the in-body image stabilization. With this camera, you get 8-stop, 5-axis IBIS. You just, with Panasonic cameras in general, Lumix, you expect it to be good. So this camera has single SD card recording. It has a CF Express Type B slot as well. But you also have the option to record externally to an SSD, which is nice. So they're keeping videographers in mind with this camera model, which is just awesome. And as it stands right now, as of what is today, February 26, 2025, I have yet to be made aware of any prosumer level camera that shoots 8K out of camera. And according to some of the YouTube videos I've seen, in a firmware update coming soon, 8K OpenGate is coming, which is just bonkers. 8K OpenGate is ridiculous. That's crazy. And that's not, obviously that's not all that makes this camera great. Just how good their autofocus has got, just how ridiculously good it's gotten. 44 megapixels, so like you can carry this camera around and have your video shooter and your photo shooter just ready to go at all times. Battery life, as far as I'm aware, on the Lumix Panasonic cameras is just awesome. So like, I'm currently shooting on the Blackmagic Cinema camera. Thing's huge. Has an amazing image. Has a great image. And I think this is top. I don't think you can get better picture quality than this out of a prosumer level camera, or at least that I've been able to experience so far. But the battery life sucks and it's heavy. Whereas this is, battery life is great and it's small. Man, like if I could order this now, I would. I just don't have the money. Haven't been monetized on YouTube yet. But what this really represents is Panasonic securing their place in the game of professional imaging, and kind of like they're giving Sony and Canon a run for their money. I really do think they are, because to offer this camera at only, look at this, it says $3,300. Like, that's it for something like this. I mean, coming from Sony with these features, I would expect 45, to be frank with you. And I'm somewhat familiar with Sony's pricing models. I have, like I said, I have the Sony A7R III, and for the longest time, I was considering staying in the Sony ecosystem just because, well, I got the lens, I got the body, I'm good at coloring S-Log footage, and then I decided to jump ship to Blackmagic, and I'm so glad that I did. But having considered sticking with Sony, finances weren't looking good, you know, just because I was aware of what their pricing models were. So to see this out of Lumix is awesome. This is definitely something that I'd like to get a hold of at some point. So I have the webpage up here. We're just going to take a scroll through it together. Yeah, internal RAW is just crazy. Yeah, autofocus is great. Color grading looks awesome. Like, I'm down for vlog. Yeah, the tracking autofocus, sick. Awesome. Yeah, and then you got the IBIS. Yep. Cropless image stabilization mode. Nice. I wonder how much wobble that gets. Oh, yeah, and I've seen false color comes with this one. That's like built into the camera system. You get false color. You can press a button and get false color, get your exposure like right on every time. And the OLED viewfinder in the monitor, that's sick. And you got the monitor that like folds outwards a different axis. Like, that's so cool. Yeah, this is going to be my next run and gun shooter for sure. Got the open gate. Nice. Open gate is such a game changer. Since I've got it on the Blackmagic, I use it all the time. So, okay, so that was like the little promo video that they have going on. We covered the 44.3 megapixels, which is just ridiculous. 40 FPS burst shooting. Like, if you're a photographer, that's huge. Yeah, the face detection, autofocus, and they got some AI features built in there. That's awesome. Active image stabilization, just so cool. So cool. And it's such a testament to how far these cameras have come, just because I did a lot of vlogging back in the day with the Sony camera, on the Sony photo camera, mind you. And I feel like I got good at it for what that was. But the camera was limited by the technology of its time, you know. The image stabilization wasn't great, so it was had a very handheld sort of feel. And not that I would be using this camera for that, but to be able to just tell stories with so much more. What I see from these reviews is the color grading. The color grading just looks awesome. It looks very rich, you know. And to not even have like RAW is obviously an option to record in, but to have the option to just shoot vlog and get that kind of color out of just regular log, not even RAW, is just like, again, like I said, bravo Lumix, like you did it, like you won.